Isn't that something?
And I celebrate that I ain't 6 feet, 5'9", 5'10" on my pins. Bro, hand might try to pimp me when I feel the spot he's in. Cause I got work for days, cause they all hurt on purse. It's crazy, spend me putting in work for J's, per after per. So hey, I have to look at her. Amazed, she has the real perky set, but he is a jerk. So I made a way to get paid, but got jerk off to her page. So come at me and rage. You know, lady came, but she became babysitter. Now that I came and picture your lover never came. Forget her, arrange anything, champagne, liquor, change. Don't be the lame, bitter, committed to a chick who claims she's spitter. No, I ain't hit her, just like you can't hit her. You'll end up in a cage or on the front page, trying to cause pain to a great name of litter. Had to fall back, every setback's for a comeback. Remember, I ain't a quitter. Just got the report back, she go back more stacks, so the price range just went up.
All right, let's cut the chase and get to it, right? What's going on, everybody? We're back at Secret Houses, and this episode we are going to continue on the path of what we were discussing before, which is related to, well, it began with Aries, Aries being the dumb baby of the zodiac wheel. Second episode was talking about Taurus and how Tauruses have been set up and why they've been set up. And now we are to the third installment, which basically states the purpose and the meaning why Tauruses exist. So let me grab my notes, right? Because I have notes. And I went as far as, I guess you could say, going undercover, or basically just doing research and investigating this thing using myself to come up with real world examples of how things transpire when I'm utilizing this theory or this logic. All right. I think I think that has some type of significance to what I'm about to say right now. So beginning with Taurus, right? Let me explain to you what happened during this time. So if we recap back on the last time that we spoke, right? I spoke about a dream that I had with the military was involved. And in this dream, or whatever the case may be, the military was like, shooting down an aircraft that came inside of a neighborhood that I'm familiar with, that I used to live in, right? So, I questioned the military, what's going on here, whatever the case may be. And they told me, what they knew, rather, you know what I mean? And so I put two and two together, right? Because during my solar return, and I probably didn't say this before, but I advise anyone and everyone out there, if you're into astrology, if you're into this stuff like that, to get a solar return. So basically, a solar return is like a report card or an update for you, the individual, to know what's going to happen in this upcoming year. So I looked at my solar return and I said, okay, I looked at Mars specifically because Mars is the soldier and I'm having dreams about military soldiers. So I said, okay, Mars is inside of my second house for this solar return. So the second house is ruled by Taurus, right? So I said, let me apply some of this stuff to myself because this is probably why I'm having a dream like this. So what I did was I put myself in the shoes of a military soldier. And what I mean by that is I started training as far as my body goes. I started training as far as my intellect goes. I started training as far as, going the distance and travels and, surviving off of rations, things that are opposite of what values are attributed to in life and everyday life, right? So when they say that the soldiers go out to war to protect the way of life at home, that way of life is more related to Taurus. It's basically stating, I have the ability to come outside and no one harms me or no one invades my country and, causes me any harm because my soldiers will kick your ass and kill you. Right. But not only that, I'm being a jerk, but not only that, but they preserve a certain type of freedom that exists over here that other countries and other nations just don't possess. You know what I mean? So, that's what we're sold. So I put myself in this military soldier type shoes so I can better clarify what I'm stating. And so Tauruses won't just see it as some type of Pisces trying to tell them what it is and what it's supposed to be. No, I'm gonna put myself in your shoes to actually feel what this is supposed to be like based upon the download of data that I'm getting. So before this took place, even, right, I was actually fasting. So I was fasting for 21 days before I went on this, I guess you could call, mission. So this mission lasted for about a week, right? But I was fasting before the week came up. And so I dropped in weight considerably. Like you can still tell, you know what I'm saying? And so something happened though when I was fasting. I became much more energetic. I became much more clear-headed. I became much more focused. During the time that I started this mission, I've learned how to code in HTML, I've learned how to code in CSS, and I've learned a few tricks in JavaScript as well. I began building 2 websites from scratch. Now, I'm not saying I'm an expert or anything, but if you know anything about coding, then you know this is not the simplest type of stuff to do. All right. Like, see how I'm talking to you right now on this webcam? I'm actually able to do that. I'm actually able to capture webcam now from the coding that I've learned. This is tedious and strenuous work though. But when you see the result of it, it's worth it. Like when you see you can do something like this, it's definitely worth it. But I say that to say this, right? This came from fasting. So when we're mentioning food, we're talking about Taurus in the second house and stuff, right? Rules the throat. So prior video to this, I said, Tauruses can eat, man. You know what I'm saying? And they pride themselves in being able to taste great foods and stuff like that. That's part of their culture of the second house. You know what I mean? So what I did was I refrained from fulfilling that taste bud that I enjoy as well. You know what I'm saying? So I know I'm about to sound like a hypocrite, but these are the measures that I'll go to research the things that I talk about. I went to the supermarket and I got ramen noodles. Like I got a substantial amount of them too, and I filled the cabinet with them like they were rations because that it's dry food, so it can't expire on you. You know what I mean? And this is how the military is fed. They get fed these like little jars of food, or you know what I'm saying? If they're on base, they get the trays, but they got to eat within like 8 minutes or whatever the case may be, and then they got to get back to moving. You know what I'm saying? And only get a certain amount of food a day, and they have to carry out their mission with those rations because it's calculated. You know what I'm saying? We have a mission to do. It's going to cost this much. This food is factored into the cost, but this is what we expect to get a return from. I don't have military budget and what they expect, but pretty much get the gist of what I'm saying, right? So I approach this way of life the same way, like a military soldier would. Stack up the cabinet with ramen noodles. I bought, what else did I buy? I bought a sealed thing of coffee, right? Because I knew if I was to keep going to get coffee from the coffee shops, I would end up spending more money. So I went and got like the cheapest brand of coffee that I could get, right? And I utilized that because just to give myself a stimulant as well. And like I said, I got all of this work done. And had I been stuffing my face, and gluttony comes with that. You know what I'm saying? When you indulge, gluttony comes with that because you're comfortable, you're feeling good, you got your taste buds are flowing, and you're like, life is great. You're very unsuspecting when you're in this type of mode. But I realized when I was fasting and I was budgeting and I was rationing out, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm down to 6 soups. You know what I'm saying? Like life became much more clearer and much more serious for me. You know what I'm saying? I think I went and got like a couple of bushels of, I got a couple of bushels of watercress so that I wouldn't just be totally unhealthy. And I like chefed up the watercress and mixed it with the soups. And then I got a carton of eggs too, because this deli around my way, they got this sale going on for a carton of eggs for $1. So I jumped on that. You know what I'm saying? I spent very little money on this food. So what happened is, let me make sure I'm doing this in order, right? Okay, there was less food consumption, of course, less indulging. And at the same time, right now, peep this, more bills are piling on my account, right? So what was happening was spending very little on myself, on my survival needs, and I let my bills pile. I wanted to put that pressure on me because usually or sometimes I can let, as soon as the bill comes, I'll pay it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I even pay bills beforehand. And I'm like, this can't be the way that a soldier operates. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody else gets paid last. I get paid first now because some military vets, they come back from the war and they're like homeless, or they have nothing to show for it. You know what I mean? And that's probably one of the saddest things that can ever happen, for you to go and fight for your nation and you come back and have nothing. So I thought about that in my research, and I'm like, nah, I'm not paying these guys. Now, what happened was, in the process, I started making money. Not only was I started making money these past couple of weeks, I was making much more money than I was spending. So my daily habits, my daily routine, or my daily expenditures on making myself feel good got minimized, and a result of that was more money. So I'm gonna explain how that actually happened, right? Um, so I started doing these side jobs and independent contracting. I do a lot of independent contracting, right? So this one person hits me up and they're like, okay, we got something for you in Connecticut in a couple of days. Do you want to do it? So I look at the specs and I'm like, I don't want to do this. He's like, why? I'm like, because it's going to cost me probably more than it is going to pay me. You know what I'm saying? Because I got to travel that far and I got to stay out there for a couple of days as well. You know what I'm saying? So that means I got to put myself up in hotels and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I could go through the motions of finding out someone who lives in Connecticut, but all of that is just too much. I'd rather do the hotel thing anyway, should I have went. So I'm doing the math and I'm like, this just doesn't add up. I'm not taking this. You know what I'm saying? So they was like, all right. So they hit me right back with a different job. Now, this job was profitable, right? And I'm saying that to say this. I want you to relate this to Taurus in the second house. And one of Taurus's hugest assets is patience, whether you like it or not. You know what I mean? So they send me a job immediately after that. This one is profitable. I do the math, it's profitable, right? But there's one thing. The job is the next day, right? So it's already like maybe 3 p.m. So they send me this job and it's the next day. So I'm thinking about it. I'm like, Now, mind you, I got a few connects. You know what I'm saying? So there's another connect that I was looking to do some independent contracting with. And I got some interesting things on the table. And, you know, this one person that replied very quickly with this new job, it was in the area, but I had to do a little distance out. But now I had these other people who had a few things that were even closer. No, matter of fact, I didn't even know this yet. But I do have more connections, right? So I waited and I was thinking about it. Am I going to go do this? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do this? And what I did, I went to sleep. I did something real lazy and just patient, though. You know what I'm saying? I went to sleep. I was like, there's too much brain work right now. I don't want to feel like dealing with this. So I went to sleep. I get awakened by a phone call. I pick up the phone. I'm like, hello, who's this? It's one of my connections, the connection I was talking about that has other jobs that may be closer in the vicinity. And that's what happened. He started talking to me. Look, I got some contracting going on over here, just throwing me mad stuff. And I'm like, wait, hold on. You know what I'm saying? Calm down a minute. So they like, yeah, I'm telling you, like, you know, they made moves to even, how can I say this without outing them? Well, you don't know the companies that I'm talking about. So they made moves even to like go under the radar and like go behind the scenes and make some things happen for me so that I get these jobs. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't know this person from a hole in the wall, from Adam. It's a chick though. Beautiful accent too. I was just like, oh, I was kind of blown back by her, right? But still on the phone for a substantial amount of time. And I took the jobs. I took all of them. You know what I'm saying? So I say that to say this. I waited. Now, right after that, I responded to the other people and I'm like, listen, I'm not doing that job. You know what I mean? Come to me with something better and I'll think about it. But, you know, I got something else lined up. So I want you to understand the importance of negotiating. I want you to understand the importance of personal value, what you attach your personal values to, because I can personally reflect on times of Tauruses that I know. And they've been like, I'm working here, but, they paying me this much and they asking me to do this, that, and the third. And sometimes I look at my coworkers, they're not even doing this, that, and the third. And I'm like, and then they like paying me under the table. I think like it's just weird and stuff like that. So when Tauruses come to me with stuff like that, I'm like, I understand when they quit and they walk out like, I'm not doing this no more. You know what I'm saying? All of that, put pride to the side and, you know, do whatever you got to do for your family and all that. That's the type of stuff that gets nations invaded. Like that's the type of stuff that gets economies in trouble. That's the type that has locals swarming to their politicians, begging them for help because they take deals like that. Now, have more people waited things out like I've done, right? And said, you know what, I don't care how many bills I got, I don't care what type of pressure is on me. I'm waiting it out until someone understands my value. Then nations and locals, national conditions would be much better. So, but patience is a trying thing, right? Sometimes when you have issues pressing, you're like, oh, I gotta move now, I gotta move now, I gotta move now. And sometimes, again, you could sell yourself short in the process. But if that's your attitude, that's your attitude. This video is about Tauruses and how they attach value to things inside of communities, inside of nations, inside of the world. But even more importantly is that Taurus and Taurus energy is responsible for autonomy at its infant level, right? I mean, of course, Aries first, but again, you gotta remember, Aries don't really know much. You know what I'm saying? Aries is just fresh out the pussy, like, yo, where's that? What we doing? I don't even know what we doing. What y'all got planned and whatever. I'm just going. You know what I'm saying? I'm fresh out. And Taurus is like, wait, patience. Hold on. Let's look around. Let's touch. Let's feel. Let's understand the environment that we're in, so we can attach values to it. And we can name that the frog. We can name that the bull, and so on and so forth, right? So I get the jobs now. I got the calculations on this stuff too. My cost of, put it this way, the profit that I made this week that I've done this research is astounding. It's just astounding. It's record breaking compared to other things that I've done. So I've made a profit. I'm speaking in percents because I don't want to, you know, just listen to the percentage. I made 1,983.33% profit from what I did this past couple of weeks. Really in the past week. I was just fasting the other week, but when I really put this in motion was in a 7-day span. Did you hear that number? Did you hear that number? So what happens here is, you know, you talk about getting paid a certain amount of money an hour and stuff like that. Like the money I got paid an hour to do these tasks were just unfathomable. Like, but it's great. You know what I'm saying? This is the good news. This is the great news. Now, sure, I dropped in weight size considerably. People might even think I'm sick or something. You know what I'm saying? But I'm telling you, how much more productive I was incredible. It's to the point where I got so much work done that I could take a day or two off, and just now I could be like, oh, let me watch a couple of movies or whatever the case may be, because that's how clear and how agile I became from not eating so much. And I tried working out again, but I didn't do too much because I was still type weak and faintish from fasting so much. You understand what I'm saying? So I did enough curls though. Like my strength was, I even felt stronger, like because the strength, the energy that I was using was just put all into being strong. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't about looking strong. It was more actually about being strong. Like my stomach is not even there right now. Like it's straight 6-pack, almost an 8-pack. And I know have a thin build, athletic build anyway, but trust me when I tell you I can eat. You know what I'm saying? So I can get bloated around the stomach and everything. It's be like, yo, what's going on with you? You know what I'm saying? But nah, it's gone now. Like it's no, it's nothing there. It's just all 6-pack. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very cut up. I'm very defined and rigid and all of that. But I lost weight. So again, you hear the numbers of what I made, right? And this is no joke. I'm so serious when I say this. Now I did take the risk of not eating as healthy as I usually do. And I think this is where the whole soldier mentality comes in, right? Because it's like sometimes we risk